Hi guys, Romans here, and in this video I'm gonna tell you some stories behind the making of Lonely Crossings, the music video. Sometimes before the shooting I was actually wondering what kind of stories will I have to tell, what is gonna go wrong, because considering the previous two music videos there was a lot of stuff, So I was kind of wondering will there be any stories? And boy, nothing could have prepared me for all the stuff that went down, so let's start with it. During the summer 22 I actually already had an idea for Lonely Crossings, the music video. This was before actually shooting Pioneers. There was one thing I knew for sure. I wanted us to be on some kind of a roof, think U2, where streets have no name, just on a smaller scale. One of the first ideas was to shoot on the roof of some block of flats, but that would have been too dangerous. We have this big building in the center of our city where the mayor works, and we have all of it's not really a town hall, but you got all of the offices there. My mom actually works as the head of one division, and I went to check the roof there and it looked pretty good. And even, the mayor and everybody was like, yeah, sure, you can do it there. But a couple weeks before the shooting, they were actually like, maybe it's not a good idea. There were a couple of problems with that roof in particular. First of all, the painting on the roof was still fresh, meaning that whatever scratch we would do, we would have to pay from our own pocket because the roof was still in warranty. And another problem was that we would have to go through some kind of a briefing as in how to behave on the roof. And, long story short, it was too complicated. There were a couple of other buildings that I was thinking about, but nothing really worked. And then I called my father, who used to have a construction company, and I asked him do you have any ideas about a building where we could shoot? And he was like, why don't you shoot in my villa? He has been building this enormous mansion almost since 2010, and it's almost finished. So he called me there, I checked the roof and it looked pretty good. Actually, it looked amazing. So that's when we settled for it. I was like, okay, this is going to be the roof in the music video. The thing is though, that roof, despite looking really good, wasn't necessarily made in a way to be accessible. Apart from using a ladder, it wasn't really made in a way that you could just go to the roof from the house. In order to get there and get all of our equipment there, we had to go through the bathroom window. And even though it was pretty big and wide, it wasn't big enough for the drums to fit through. And you can actually see this shot at the beginning of the music video where the drummer is giving me this big bass drum and I'm taking it. I think we were 5 or 6 meters above the ground, so it was pretty dangerous. And he was giving it to me from what's supposed to be a balcony, but it didn't have the rails. And I was actually standing on the roof. So that was a lot of fun to get there, to get the equipment there. But the bigger problem was that at the day of the shooting I got a message right when I woke up, and it was from Lucas, the saxophone player, that, sorry dude, I'm sick, I can't make it. So now what are you gonna do? So I called the camera guy, who was actually from 2 hours away. I told him about a situation. He was like, well, I'm already on my way, so what, do we cancel it? And considering how beautiful the weather was, and I think it was beautiful for 2 days, I was like, okay, let's go for it. We'll implement it into the story and then we'll figure something out. So this is actually why at the beginning of the music video you can see me getting a message. So this is kind of like it happened in real life. And if you watch the previous two music videos, you can see that there's just 3 of us and that the saxophone player is missing. So you can kind of figure it out that it's him who sent me the message. We were shooting in the middle of November and it was really hot and really sunny. And if you look at the music video, you may actually think that it was shot in July or August. And that's a very specific weather. So I called Lucas and I said, okay, look, try to call the camera guy, and set some date and try to figure out when you can shoot your own shots, when you get well. And it wasn't just about when they have the time, it was also about when the weather is ideal. Because if you have 2 types of shots and they both have different weather, it would really look bad on the camera. Unfortunately, Lucas was somehow unable to schedule a date, so that's the reason why he's not actually in the music video, but it's the drummer's friend. He asked him if it was okay, and he also happened to be from the same town as the camera guy. And I think that they shot it on a somewhat similar weather. I think it was pretty similar, even though it was probably a bit colder. Also, the drummer that you can see in the music video is Iako Bei, and he's a drummer that is currently in a band. We had a gig in summer, and the drummer who was in the previous 2 music videos was my friend who was helping me out because I didn't have anybody. But now that we have a drummer, we made him appear in the music video. Apart from us playing on the roof, you can also see these behind the curtains scenes where you can see my room where I shoot videos. You can kind of see me recording Simon, the keyboard player, which is kind of how it happened. You can also see me writing music and writing lyrics. And there's also this shot where we're playing in this room. You can see all 3 of us. And this is actually the room where we recorded most of the album, most of the bass guitar, most of the keyboards, all of the saxophone, all of the lead and backing vocals were recorded in that room. And this is also a room where we were rehearsing during the summer for our gig. It's a really huge room, so we were kind of spread across the room, but for the sake of that shot where all of us had to be in it, we kind of, got pretty close together. And this is pretty authentic because during the summer it was mostly the three of us rehearsing the songs. Lucas only joined us a couple days before the gig because, you know, he wasn't a problematic person. It was really about the three of us to nail down the songs, and he didn't need to be there. And the thing is that I live in this big double house essentially, and with my wife we rebuilt the back part of the house, but we didn't do anything with the front house, so to speak. And this room is actually in that front part, and during the summer it was okay because it was pretty hot, but when we were shooting in November, despite how hot it was during the day outside, in that room it was super cold. So we were trying to be as quick as possible doing those shots.